Today, you'll discover the 7 Asian countries that could lose the right to a U.S. green card as early as 2025, and you'll understand why thousands of families are on the brink of having their American dream destroyed by decisions made behind closed doors in Washington. Economic crisis, war, fraud, national security threats. The reasons are many, but the outcome is the same. Access to the world's most coveted visa could be cut off at any moment. Is your country on the list? Stick around until the end, because the answer might just surprise you. 7 United Arab Emirates. You might picture Dubai, luxury, skyscrapers, or a country where nothing seems to be missing. But behind all the glass towers and easy money, a shadow is growing in 2025, and it's coming straight from Washington. The U.S. is watching the Emirates like never before. Why? There's been a sudden spike in UAE citizens entering the U.S. on student or tourist visas and simply not leaving when they're supposed to. For many, the green card has become an obsession, and the hunt for shortcuts has only grown. Asylum requests, loopholes in immigration laws, even questionable documents. But there's more. While the Emirati elite bets big on friendship with America, the country is also forging risky new ties with Russia and China. That set off alarm bells at the White House. Washington fears the Emirates could become a gateway for espionage, foreign influence, and hostile interests on U.S. soil. So they're tightening the screws. Checking the background and history of applicants has become harder than ever. Many Emiratis hold dual citizenship, run businesses around the globe, and travel freely between countries. That makes it incredibly difficult for U.S. authorities to run thorough investigations. The U.S. government's message for 2025 is clear. Even wealthy allies must play by the rules. If this trend continues, the dream of thousands of young people, entrepreneurs, and families from the Emirates to live, study, or invest in America could vanish overnight. 6. Nepal. When people think of Nepal, most imagine Himalayan trails and the tranquility of Buddhist temples. But behind the scenes, the country's image is starting to raise alarms among U.S. authorities, and it's not because of tourism. In recent years, Nepal has come under Washington's spotlight due to a worrying surge in illegal immigration schemes. Underground consultants and unscrupulous intermediaries promise easy access to the green card in exchange for fake documents, fabricated stories, and even sham marriages just to secure residency in the United States. But there's another red flag. U.S. security agencies warn about growing human trafficking. Social vulnerability in several regions of Nepal has opened the door for criminal networks to exploit even the green card lottery, allowing people to enter the U.S. under dubious identities or fake circumstances. There's another problem: the lack of reliable digital records. In Nepal, bureaucracy is still mostly paper-based, making it extremely difficult to verify the information of those seeking to enter the U.S. legally. The result? Widespread suspicion. For honest applicants, the immigration process has become even more difficult and uncertain. The consequence is clear. If the local government doesn't modernize its systems and stamp out these fraudulent networks, thousands of Nepalese dreaming of a new life in the U.S. could be blocked, not by their own mistakes, but by crimes committed by a minority. 5. Iran. In the Middle East, few countries make Washington as uneasy as Iran. Tensions between Tehran and the United States have lasted for decades, but now the standoff is about to directly impact thousands of ordinary families. Immigrating to the U.S. has always been complicated for Iranians, but in 2025, the pressure has reached a whole new level. American authorities are growing more suspicious due to a rise in visa applications linked to alleged fraud, and especially because it's nearly impossible to verify information coming from Iran. With no U.S. embassy on Iranian soil, applicants have to go through consulates in third countries, making the document review process slow and full of loopholes for inconsistencies. To make matters worse, the Iranian government strictly controls internal communications and personal data, limiting the U.S.'s ability to investigate backgrounds, professional history, and even the identity of green card applicants. With nuclear talks back on the table and the political climate tightening, American tolerance for risk has plummeted. In Congress, the push for full restrictions is gaining ground, especially for any country labeled a national security threat. The impact? An entire generation of students, skilled workers, and families hoping for a fresh start in the United States could see every door slammed shut, not by their own choice, but because of top-down decisions that change everything overnight. 4. Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, the search for stability has become a way of life, but the country's passport may soon become one of the biggest obstacles for those dreaming of a future in the U.S. Since the brutal economic crisis hit in 2022, thousands of citizens have looked for new opportunities abroad. The problem is that, along with hope, some dangerous solutions have appeared. The number of green card applications filled with fake documents, phantom jobs, and invented family ties has skyrocketed in recent years. U.S. embassies report unprecedented difficulties investigating each case. The local verification system is overloaded, and institutional corruption only adds to Washington's distrust. On top of that, Sri Lanka's declining global passport ranking puts even more pressure on officials to scrutinize every request, since the country's political and social instability makes it easy for fraud to happen. For families who still believe in the American dream, time is running out. If Sri Lankan authorities can't restore U.S. confidence, the chance to get a green card could simply vanish, leaving thousands with no options and forcing entire generations to rethink their future. 3. South Korea. When people talk about South Korea, most think of cutting-edge technology, K-pop, and one of Asia's most dynamic economies. But behind the glamour, a silent challenge is starting to worry U.S. authorities. In recent years, there's been a significant increase in young South Koreans entering the U.S. on student, tourist, or work visas and simply not going back. Many end up overstaying illegally, especially in major cities with established Korean communities. This trend caught the attention of immigration officials, who also noticed a rise in so-called sham marriages being used as a shortcut to get a green card. Although South Korea is a key U.S. ally, the political message from Washington is clear. Either the country steps up its oversight of visa abuse and immigration fraud, or it may soon see its path to green cards closed, even for those who have always played by the rules. This puts thousands of South Korean students, professionals, and families in a state of uncertainty never seen before. For many, the American dream now depends on a fast and decisive response from the government in Seoul. 2. Pakistan. Pakistan, with its history marked by instability and contrasts, has become one of the most delicate challenges for U.S. immigration in recent years. Cases of ignored temporary visas have risen significantly, especially among those traveling for family or work who end up staying far beyond what is allowed. At the same time, the United States struggles to verify documents and backgrounds, especially from rural regions where government oversight is weak and paperwork is often incomplete or unreliable. This climate of uncertainty worries Washington. Fears of security gaps and the growing migration flow are pushing American lawmakers to discuss temporary restrictions, or even a complete freeze on green cards for Pakistani citizens. In practice, entire families could be forced to rethink their lives overnight. With no guarantee of access to American visas, many Pakistanis are left at the mercy of decisions made far from home, with consequences that cross borders and generations. 1. Syria. Few countries present as great a challenge to the U.S. immigration system as Syria. A decade of civil war has devastated the nation, destroyed public records, and dismantled nearly all government infrastructure. Today, many Syrians trying to start a new life in the U.S. can't even prove who they are. Basic documents, school records, work histories, everything is missing. Even communication between embassies has become rare or impossible. For U.S. officials, reviewing and approving a green card application from Syria has become a true shot in the dark. Given this scenario, pressure is mounting in Washington to halt, at least temporarily, the issuance of regular visas to Syrian citizens. There are still special pathways for refugees, but getting a traditional green card has never been more out of reach. Each year, more Syrian families watch America's doors close, not by their own choice, but because of international circumstances far beyond their control. For many, the hope of starting a safe, stable life becomes just a memory or a dream postponed indefinitely. These 7 Asian countries are standing on the edge. With just a signature, a new decree, or an international crisis, access to the green card could vanish overnight. As Washington tightens its grip and the world watches, one inevitable question remains. Will more countries end up on this blacklist, Or will governments finally find a way to regain America's trust and reverse the tide? And what about you? Which of these situations do you think is the most unfair? Is your country among those at risk? Comment below because your opinion might show up in the next video. If you want to keep up with the world's biggest conflicts and decisions that change everything, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who needs to see it.